Hey sports fans, are you ready for an exhilarating gaming experience? Introducing VIPclub.lv, your ultimate online sportsbook and casino. VIPclub.lv offers a vast selection of sports, from football and basketball to tennis and baseball. Bet on your favorite teams and enjoy the thrill of the game. But that's not all. Our state-of-the-art online casino offers a dazzling array of games, including slots, blackjack, roulette, and live dealer tables. Win big with their fantastic promotions, rewards, and exclusive offers. Join VIPclub.lv today and get a generous 200% match welcome bonus to start your winning streak. And make sure to use code ECSI at sign-up. Bet it, win it, and cash it at VIPclub.lv. Visit VIPclub.lv now and play responsibly. VIPclub.lv, your sportsbook and casino extravaganza. Must be 21 or older to play. Please gamble responsibly. Visit gambleware.org for help.
Good evening, sports fans from all around the globe. Yes, I am back, and me and Scotty are back. It's Tuesday, July 18, 2023. It's time for some chalk talk in between the lines. Second half MLB, the back end of the year. Some teams already out, some teams shopping, some teams, are they buyers, are they sellers? Backstage, I was telling Scotty, the fabulous all-star lineup the Red Sox have put forth tonight. It's like if I was in Brockton watching the Rocks, I think that's about what I'd be looking at here. But shout out to our new sponsor, VIPclub.lv. At exit, please use the promo code ECSI. Tell them Jeff sent you, and they'll take care of you. Best customer service in the land. Tonight, me and Scotty are going to talk some second-half ideas. Some teams that are buying, some teams that are selling. Scott's got some new abbreviations for us, hopefully. What's going to happen in the second half. And I'm going to just start maybe with the O word because I've already talked my piece about it. Maybe he has a few cents. So without further ado, the one, the only, Mr. Beam 'em up, Scotty himself, Mr. Scott T. Webb. Good evening, sir.
Hey, Jeff. It's what is today? Today's Tuesday. It's a great Tuesday to be talking baseball. Of course, you know, any Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday is a good day for me to talk baseball. But you know, we got some big series coming up this week. We got some big things going on. I think there's been a lot of stuff happening since the All-Star break that we probably should touch on in terms of just where teams are and what's happening. And that kind of leads right into the second half and kind of how to bet the second half. And then got a little trick up my sleeve, maybe that people might be interested in kind of feeling out and seeing what you can do with it.
Well, there's teams that are your team to start with. April and May came out guns a-blazing and set the standards and the bar real high. I'm not saying that they're coasting. They got me on Sunday again by that juggernaut called the Royals. The Atlanta Braves. Definitely the team to beat in the National League. I know the Dodgers, but we're talking at least division-wise, the Braves got that thing wrapped up. But before we dig into some of these teams and your thought process moving forward in the second half, Shohei Ohtani, there's nothing he can't do. He is Babe Ruth. He is must-watch TV. Angels stuck rock in a hard place. I said this all along. I've said it to you. I've said it on other shows. If I was the owner of the GM, I would have actively been pursuing a trade with Mike Trout. I would have known there was definitely a handful of teams that would have taken on Mike Trout in that contract. I then would have taken that money that I just saved and parlayed it, and I would have, you know, my face would have been Shohei for the next 10, 12, 13 years, however long they signed him. Obviously, Trout hurt. He's not going anywhere, and you're not going to tie up $1 billion between two players. Now, they've said publicly they will not trade him to the Dodgers. They have said they will field offers. You've been down these lanes. You understand this. There's no physical possible way they can get anything close to what they think his true value is as a rental. So what do you think is going to happen to Shohei moving forward?
Well, he's kind of a predicament. because it's not. It's I guess the best way to say it is how do you evaluate how do you evaluate the best player in baseball? And I'm looking at Mike Trout right now. They're paying him $37,116,000 a year. $37,116,000 a year. That's for 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So that's a lot of money. So Shohei, right? If you really look at what Shohei's value is, if Mike Trout's worth $426 million over 12 years, which is what his contract is, what are they going to do for Shohei? 500 million, 600 million? What's the number? So say it's I don't know, let's say it's $550 million. How long is it going to go for? And then what is that, 40 million a year, 45 million a year? I don't know, 50 million a year. So what does that number look like? So there are teams out there that really are struggling to spend $90 million on their whole payroll, the entire payroll for the entire team. And if you got a guy that's making $50 million, I mean, there's only a handful of teams that are going to be able to do that. So now on the back side of that, so if you're the Angels and you're trying to dump this well, I shouldn't say dump this contract. That's not the right way to say it. If you're trying to get value for a guy that you're not going to sign, the problem is going to be is every team and their brother knows that you can't sign that team, so they can wait until free agency. Or some of these teams that maybe are in the playoff hunt can go and say, hey, this guy will make me a World Series favorite. I mean, so where does that kind of land? So an interesting team. I'm just throwing this out there. I have no idea, but I'm just saying, you talked about the Rays, right? And I'm not saying the Rays are in the market for a Shohei Ohtani. That's not what I'm saying. But what about the Texas Rangers? Texas Rangers got all kind of money, and they got players, and they got whatever, so they can do whatever they want. So maybe they do a deal like with the Texas Rangers, knowing that, hey, he's a rental. He's only going to be there for a couple months. Help them maybe go push over the top. Maybe they become, the guy replaces DeGrom in their starting rotation. He adds another bat to their big lineup. And then all of a sudden, I would say that the Texas Rangers would be the number one favorite to come out of the American League. So having said that, what's that worth? And what is it worth for Texas to do that, knowing that you might not be able to sign him the next year or going forward? So then you have to kind of play that off, and you got to go, okay, Angels, what are you willing to take? I mean, how many prospects are you going to want, or are you going to take both prospects and regular major league level lineup guys? If I'm the Angels, I would try to regroup their whole pitching staff. I mean, I think Detmers has pitched pretty well. I think, now you're going to lose Ohtani. So if you lose Ohtani, you got nobody. I mean, Sandoval is their next guy. And if you really watch Sandoval pitch, he gets lit up a lot. So then you have Anderson that came over from the Dodgers, and he hasn't done well. And, they just throw a few bullpen games out there, and, they try to make it work. So the Angels should go after pitching. So maybe and I don't know what the matchups look like. I'm just throwing out names of teams, but, and then maybe Texas lines up a few pitchers and throws a guy in there and says, okay, well, Ohtani's going to replace this guy, so maybe I'll just give you that guy. And then all of a sudden there's 6 guys going over there for Ohtani. Maybe in a regular market, that wouldn't work in a sense that he's the best player in baseball and you're going to give him 6 guys to make that one player. But in a rental market, maybe it works. So I find it hard. I really find it hard to have the justification of what your return is going to look like. So having said that, I think there are teams that are going to be willing to do certain things. How about this? What if Shohei Ohtani went to the San Francisco Giants? Could the Giants then catch the Dodgers? Maybe. I mean, they're not that far apart. So and if you add Shohei to that team, and you got 3 guns that can pitch, with Logan Webb, and you got Ohtani and Cobb. You got three guys that can pitch. That's pretty good. So I think there's fits for Ohtani. It's just a matter of who does what and how they go. And I would also say that if San Francisco does a deal like that, they would not be doing it just to try to get him as a rental. They would try to give up the rental property to get him, knowing that they're going to pay him because they can pay him too. So I think it depends on where he goes. I don't know if that answers your question, but I think in terms of what you're looking for, the Angels aren't going to get the return that they can ever get for him because everybody knows that he's a free agent. And then secondly, because of that, they're just going to have to get what they can, which should still be a pretty good haul, depending upon how smart they are about what they want to do with their baseball team.
It's like the Red Sox and Mookie Betts. He made it clear, guys, I'm not coming back. I'm going to go to free agency, so you're stuck on stupid, and you got to take what you can get. I was just thinking, anyone watching the closing bell, by the way, I gave out a couple dingers, and I said Schwarber starts the game with a Schwarber bomb. So congrats to anyone that's watching the closing bell and that put a little something on Schwarber. Started the game with a homer. As you were talking about, potential teams, of course, we know that the landing area starts at the Dodgers. It starts with the 6. We know San Fran. We know Seattle. Potential landing spots for him next year, out west. For a rental, I was just thinking as you were talking, can you imagine him in between Arenado and Goldschmidt?
Yeah, but my problem with the Cardinals, hey, Shady, welcome in, by the way. My problem with the Cardinals is that it's too little too late. The Cardinals right now are where's my thing at here? Let's go over here for a second. Standings. So the Cardinals in their own division right now, they are dead last. They're tied with the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're 11 games behind Milwaukee. Can they catch Milwaukee with a Shohei Ohtani? I don't know. It's because they have to jump Pittsburgh, and then they got to jump the Cubs, and then they got to jump Cincinnati. So it's not so much even that they're 11 games. It's that they also got to pass all those teams to get there. And then when you look at it from a perspective of, say, the wild card where St. Louis is, St. Louis is ahead of Colorado and Washington. That's it. They are 11 games out of the wild card right now. So then they got to pass Pittsburgh, the Mets, the Cubs, the Padres, the Reds, and the Phillies to get there. I think the Phillies are done. They're not Phillies, the Cardinals. So I think the Cardinals are sellers this time. They're going to sell pieces. I think you're going to see them get rid of Flaherty. They might get rid of Montgomery. They might get rid of Arenado. They might they got an abundance in outfielders. So don't be surprised to see, some of their outfielders go away. So it depends on what they want to do in terms of regrouping in St. Louis. But I think St. Louis is not a fit for Shohei Ohtani, only in a sense that even if they had him, that's not going to be enough. And the only teams that are going to go get Shohei Ohtani are playoff contending teams that think they can win the World Series because he's on that team. No one else is going to go after him until free agent time.
Well, I just think the bottom line, Scott, is when this is all said and done, the Angels are going to just make the PR move and say, hey, guys, we're going to still hope that we have a chance at the playoffs. We're going to hope to resign them in the offseason, and they're going to get zero. They're not going to make the playoffs, and they're not going to resign them. So it is what it is there because, again, it's too big of a deal in too short a time. This is something that I think would take a month or months to put together the right deal. And you could be saying, hey, if I can get 50 cents on the dollar, it is what it is. I'd rather keep them, keep the community happy. We'll just enjoy the last 60 games with Shohei, and then we'll make that offer make it more political, like meaning, hey, we offered him 550 for 11 years, and he went to the Dodgers for 600 or whatever it is, and at least it is what it is. You still got Trout, which again, what I would have done if I was them a long, long time ago before he got hurt. So you talked about second half betting strategies. Please inform the listeners. There's a lot of them too. What your thoughts are on how to engage and how to be profitable in the second half.
All right. So our job as handicappers and our job as, we're making predictions on these games. So baseball is very difficult, not because it's so hard to pick the winner or the loser. I mean, it becomes hard, but because there's so many different variables in the money lines and how to bet it and where do you put your money and how to do all this stuff. So the first thing that I'm going to tell you is in the second half, it's different than the first half. The reason is, of course, obviously they've already played 80 games. So theoretically, you have more information than you did at the beginning of the season. So you should know more about these teams. So that's number one. So you should be a better informed handicapper, better informed judgment of the talent that you're looking at and what that team strength really looks like. That's number one. Number two, utilizing that edge to a certain degree by understanding that baseball is a wildly varianced performance sport, meaning that one night you can have Domingo Germán go out and throw a perfect game, and then the next night he goes out and he can't get out of the first inning. So you have a lot of variance there. So our job in the second half of the season is to reduce the wildly varied performance aspect of baseball. We want to wager on consistent team performance. What are they trying to accomplish? So what does that mean? Well, so let's say tonight you're looking at the Detroit game against Kansas City tonight, and you're looking at it and you're going, man, Scooble's been pitching great since he's come back. He's a great young pitcher, blah, 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 right? I'm going to bet on Scooble tonight. Well, you can bet on Scooble all you want. I got numbers right here that's going to tell you that Scooble's been excellent, but he hasn't won either one of the two starts that he made. He hasn't given up an earned run, but he still hasn't won. So if you bet him, you lost both times. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen tonight, but what I am saying is that Detroit has nothing to play for this season. They're playing for next year already. So you're going to get wild variance in performance from Detroit. You're going to get wild variance in performance from Kansas City. You need to go eliminate those bets from your mind right away. Don't be betting on those teams. Now, if you want to bet Scooble on, like strikeouts or props or something like that, that's a little different. But you shouldn't be betting on teams that are going to have wild variance in performance. You want consistency in performance. So consistency in performance, what does that look like? Let me pull up something real quick. I want to talk about the Phillies for just a second for consistency in performance, because the Phillies were kind of got off to a bad start, just like they did last year. Well, over the last 10 games, the Phillies are 7-3. Okay, that's pretty good. But did you know over the last 30 games, they're 20-10? That's pretty damn consistent performance. And guess what? They're right in the middle of a playoff hunt, and those are the teams you want to bet on. You want to bet on them because you're going to get the daily performance you expect. So say for example, like right now, if you go look at their team and who's doing what, Castellanos, who was very good at the beginning of the season's in kind of a funk. He's not hitting real well. But guess what? 6 of the other guys are. So their offense is clicking on all cylinders because 6 other guys are carrying the offense. And that's pretty good when you got a lineup of 8 or 9 guys, right? So you're sitting there, you got 8 or 9 guys, and Castellanos out there, and he's not the one doing anything, but everybody else is doing great. You're going to score some runs, and you're going to get it from anywhere in the lineup. And then you got to look at it and go, okay, well, statistically and kind of looking at where their pitchers are, Wheeler's considered data-wise, sabermetrically, he's right behind Gosman as the best pitcher in baseball. Zach Wheeler, number 2. So if you got the number 2 pitcher in baseball, and then you got Nola on there, that's like 15 to 20 or whatever he is. You got 2 of the top best pitchers in baseball, and then you got Ranger Suarez, who's doing pretty good, and the other kid, Christopher, whatever his name is, he's doing pretty good too. So you start looking at it and you go, oh my God, this is a team you want to bet on. So you got to find a way to do it. So you got to find ways and spots for these to happen, and that's going to bring me to another category here in a minute, but. The Milwaukee game today with Philadelphia, I'm on Philadelphia, and I know they're minus 185, 190. I didn't play them that way. I played them minus 1.5 on the run line. I'm expecting Nola to pitch pretty well today, and it's a bad matchup for Turan. So I'm expecting the Phillies to beat him up a little bit. But we'll see. I mean, it's baseball. Stuff happens. But so when you're looking at baseball, you want to do a couple of things. So here's another spot, right? So Cleveland's playing Pittsburgh tonight. You got Logan Allen's on the mound against Mitch Keller, and I know everybody's like, okay, well, Cleveland scored 13 runs or whatever it was. I think it was 11 runs maybe yesterday, and tonight's the night you got to bounce back with Mitch Keller. Okay, well, it makes sense, but at the same time that it makes sense, what does he got to pitch for? He's already been an ace for them this season. He's pitched better than he's ever pitched, and I'm not saying he's going to pitch poorly tonight, but what I am saying is now you got to remember what's going on in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh called up 3 rookies yesterday, 3 top prospects or whatever. They all, and one of them pitched, and he obviously got bombed. And then they had 3 other guys in the batting order. Well, those 3 guys had 10 at-bats yesterday, had 1 hit, and struck out 7 times. So no matter how good Mitch Keller pitches, the problem that you run into is why would they do all this other stuff? Well, here's a good question. It says, why is everybody and their mother on San Diego? Well, here's the answer to those questions about San Diego. San Diego is in a series right now with Toronto, and if they don't win this series, San Diego's done. They're done. You can put a fork in them. They're done. Their general manager doesn't think so. I heard him talk today, and he said today that that they were in a spot where their team just hasn't clicked yet, but they like their team. They're going to be buyers at the deadline. Okay, well, that's just the wrong thinking. I said on this show, I don't know if it was 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, whenever it was, that Soto is not living up to what Soto needs to be on that team. He walks too much, and they bat him 3rd, they bat him 4th, they bat him 2nd. He's a guy that needs to drive in runs, and he doesn't do it. He leaves it up to everybody else to do it, and he walks to get on base. Okay, make him your leadoff hitter. If you make him your leadoff hitter, that will change a lot of the dynamics of what he can do for that team. Tatis is the guy that stirs the drink out in San Diego. Machado has not done much, but he's doing stuff now. So their offense has been pretty good. But I'll tell you, the reason that the people are on San Diego specifically tonight is because Manoah's on the mound for Toronto. I don't think people are buying into what Manoah did in his last time out. So we'll see. I didn't buy into what he's doing necessarily either. When you're a guy, though, that was a former ace and a guy that's been out there and has pitched all your life, all well, and then had all that trouble that he had, he went to the minor leagues, and we did a show on this earlier, too, on this channel, that basically said, hey, Manoah is going to he's not going to do like rehab work and go through a stint in AAA and AA. And that's not what he did. They sent him to rookie camp. They sent him to an instructional league. They went and tried to redefine what Manoah is supposed to be and how he's supposed to pitch. And then everybody on Twitter made it all unfair, and everybody was doing all this bullshit about, okay, well, his first time out, he got beat up by all these kids that were 18 years old. Well, that doesn't matter because you're not doing things to get those guys out. You're doing things to work on whatever it is that you're down there to be working on. So now, after he's done that for a month, he comes back up, and his first time out, he throws 6 innings, gives up 1 hit, no runs, no walks. That's a big thing, no walks. So I think when you're thinking about what's going on with Manoah, it's one of those spots where, oh my goodness, I think he can pitch, and I told Jeff behind the scenes, I was like, you know what? I think the Philadelphia Phillies are a team that is on the come, and they're going to be a load to handle. They're not going to catch the Braves because the Braves are too far ahead, but they're going to be right there in the end. And the other one that we didn't talk about, I think, is the Toronto Blue Jays. And to be honest, I think the Toronto Blue Jays win the American League East.
I was going to say hats off to you. You talked about Keller and the Pirates. Quan double, Rosario single, Ramirez single, Josh Naylor 3-run homer, 4-0, no outs, still top of the first.
I'm not like trying to be Nostradamus, but what I'm trying to tell people is look, you just got to stay away from the wide variance that is baseball. That's all. So
we go from there to you had some initials, new abbreviation for us?
All right. So I've been doing some work with WPA, okay? Now, you know me, Jeff, because we do football together too, and I'm an EPA guy in football, and I talk about EPA, well, more in college than I do NFL. So, but EPA, and guys listening to the show from that will sort of understand. Well, now, what WPA is, it's win probability added. Okay, so in football, EPA is okay. A team will move the ball a certain number of yards on first down. Okay, well, what's the expectancy of that play of being better than average than being worse than average? And they get a grade for that. And then there might be an EPA minus and an EPA plus and an EPA minus and an EPA plus. And then all of a sudden, all the way go down the field and they get an EPA score. Okay, so every single play, every single thing that was done is measured through extra points added. Now, in baseball, it's called win probability added. Okay, so it's the same thing. It's every at bat, it's every pitch thrown, it's every out made, and it varies. So if you're a team and you score 17 runs in a game, and you hit a home run in the 8th inning, and when you're ahead 10-0, that doesn't really matter much. And when WPA looks at that, it goes, that doesn't matter much, so you don't get much credit for that, right? So what I'm looking at and what I'm telling you guys is WPA is an important number. So it's calculated on every pitch made for pitchers. And you can look at it. So Fangraphs has a number. And what I do is I look at it for the full season. So here's a perfect example of some of the things that I was looking at today. So one of the things that I was looking at today was a game like, let's find one that makes a little bit of sense. Here we go. So well, that's not going to work because the line's too high. So how about this one? I'm on this game tonight. So I'm on Texas tonight against Bradley. So Evaldi has an EPA all season long of 2.03. That's his number. It's a positive number. 2 right now is one of the highest numbers going. It'll get to 3. It'll get to 4. If it gets to 6, it's a phenomenal number. If it's 5, it's like superstar. 4 and 3 is probably about where he'll end up. But it's at 2 right now, and it keeps building, right? So over the last 30 days, it's a 0.18. All right, so what does that mean? Well, that means it's still positive. It means he's getting more positive outs and getting more things done than not. And what it also means is that he's not pitching quite like he did at his highest level. That's the thing to remember. He's not pitching at his most highest level, but he's pitching well. All right. So let's look at Taj Bradley. Taj Bradley is a minus 1.22 EPA for the season, and he's a minus 0.73 in the last 30 days. So the majority of, if not, 75% of his bad starts, his worst performances are in the last 30 days. So here's a perfect scenario that shows you, hey, Evalde, even though he hasn't been pitching the best, he's been pitching much better than what Bradley has. And Bradley has been costing his team the ability to win games more so than anybody else really on the board today. It's not very pretty for him. I'm trying to see if anybody else is worse than him. There's a minus 1.60. Who's that? That's the minute. That's the that's Medina for Oakland pitching today. He's really bad. So the idea though is to take a look at what they've done over the season and then compare that to where they are in the last 30 days. You will find guys that over the season have done really bad, but over the last 30 days are pitching better than they pitched at all. And if you find that, that's the guy you want to bet on. You want to bet on that guy because nobody's looking at that, because everybody looks at all these numbers on a season-long spot, and they can't find the guy that's right there in that sweet spot that's going to be staring right at you that says, look at me, I'm pitching better than I've ever pitched in the full season, and nobody can see it because it's all blended into all these other bigger numbers. So you can find true value by looking at the last 30 days WPA and comparing it to, for example, the season-long WPA.
And you find that on Fangraphs?
Yeah, you can find that. Here's a perfect example, right? I talked about Kansas City today. So Lynch is pitching for Kansas City. His season-long EPA is minus 0.2. So about even, right? He's been about an average pitcher. Hasn't really cost his team much, and that's pretty good considering he's in Kansas City. But his last 30 days, Jeff, is a 0.65 positive. He's pitching better than he's ever pitched this season right now. So he's pitching better than he's ever pitched right now. He's facing a pretty good team in a sense of Scooble's a good pitcher. But I wouldn't count Kansas City out tonight. But I'm not going to bet on them because they don't fit the mold. That where you fit the mold, you could bet them in the first half because everybody fits the mold. But right now, that wild variance is not good.
Before we wrap things up, there's still a handful of games that haven't gone off. Cleveland now 5-0 top of the first. Is there any late night games or games that have not gone off that you broke down that you enjoyed or that you have action on tonight?
Well, I'm on Texas tonight against Tampa Bay, and I told you I was on Philadelphia against Milwaukee, and I passed on some of these other things. The games that bother me right now are in trying to bet on are teams like Minnesota and Seattle. I have a hard time because a lot of the handicap that a lot of people do is the pitcher. And both pitchers are pretty good tonight. Like Ober's really good, and Brian Woo's been really good. Other than that, if you took Brian Woo's first start out, the first start he had, he got bombed. I think he pitched against, Atlanta or somebody like that, and they scored like 6 runs in the first inning or something against the poor kid. But if you took that start away from him, he would be a name everybody knows. But Brian Woo is just as good as anybody that's out there, and he's one of the best young pitchers in baseball. He's going to be pitching tonight, and he's going to be pitching against Bailey Ober, who basically, when Kenta Maeda went down, came in and just filled right in and has been probably better than what Kenta Maeda would have been. So you've got 2 really good pitchers tonight. So you got 2 offenses that strike out all the time. That's all they do, Jeff. They're 30% strikeout rates. They're terrible. And they can't score runs. And of course, yesterday they had the same kind of thing. They had Gilbert pitch in for Seattle, and they had whatever his name is, the guy from Oakland that came over in the Yankees and whatever, that guy pitched for Minnesota, And what happened? Neither one of them got their strikeout props. They had 5 each, and it was a score of like I think it was 7-5 or something. It went well over the number. And so you sit here and you go, how does that happen? Well, I mean, stuff happens in Major League Baseball, and I would say that's an outlier. So I wouldn't think that they're going to score runs tonight. I would think that they're going to be pretty minimal on the runs, but I think the line's that way too. So I wouldn't play that game that way. But I want to find out who's going to win the team. How much are they going to win by? What's the score going to look like? And then as I sit there and go, okay, well, I think that's kind of what it's going to look like. Do I want to play the over? Do I want to play the under? Do I want to play a side? And it's hard to get into that. So, you got German and Sandoval tonight. Who knows what's going to happen in those games? Corbin and Tyon tonight. Corbin's coming back off the paternity list, so he just had a baby. So, well, he didn't, his wife did. So as they go forward, as they go forward, who knows? I don't know what that's going to look like. Tyon's been pretty good as of late. What I'm interested to see is I really want to see. I really want to see what happens with Cabrera tonight because he was pitching good with Miami. He hasn't pitched since the June 13th. So this will be his first time back off the IL tonight. And he's got a tough spot because Montgomery's been really good as of late. What's the question? How about the under 8.5 in Kansas City and Detroit? I don't mind that. I mean, these are two bad offenses, but again, these are teams that there's wild variances. Skubal's made 2 starts since he's come off the disabled list. He's only gone 4 innings in each one of those 2 starts. So he's not even pitching half the game. So then you got the whole second half of the game going to be relied on by the bullpen. So, and Lynch is, I think, pitching as best as he can pitch. So under makes sense. But it really depends on how long Skubal can go. And if he's only going to go 4 or 5 innings, I would stay off it.
Yes, and you're on the Rangers. He asked about the Rangers as well.
Yeah, I'm on the Rangers tonight. Yeah. I got him at, I think, I don't remember, it was 134 or 135. I don't remember what it was. Something like that.
As we progress, get closer to Labor Day, you and I know we've been just doing the Tuesday night shows. We talk about trying to get a weekend show in on your day off where we can talk some baseball, but start to get into some football. And the people that have not been following us for the past couple of years on the football shows where you can get more into your EPA and how you break down a football game versus most of the people around.
Well, I am a data guy, but what's so baseball has led into a lot of data things when it's come to football. Obviously, I was a former player, done a lot of things, so I can relate the information that Sabermetrics provides in a way that sort of paints a picture of what to expect. Now, it's not always the case, but and sometimes it's kind of misleading and you kind of look foolish. But I will say that football is a little different for me in a sense that yes, I still use EPA numbers. I still do a lot of things, but I also do a little bit of what you do. I look at, okay, well, why did the line move? Why is it doing this? Why is it doing that? And I don't do any of that in baseball. I do maybe a little, but not a lot. I don't care. I make my own number in baseball, and if the line moves away from my number, I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't care. I'm happy with that. If the line moves towards my number, I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I'm okay. It doesn't matter to me. So I'm not betting that in line move. Now in football, I probably will some.
Where can they find all your work? I know the crawler's been going the whole time. They can find myself at EC Sports Invest. They can find you at Webby20MLB. They can find us on, Twitch, YouTube. We'll be doing a lot more this fall. We'll be getting everyone lined up for football. We'll be talking football during the week on Saturdays, maybe for the big Saturday or Sunday, setting them up for the footballs. And then, of course, what everyone forgets about come September, the last month of baseball, and of course the playoffs in the World Series. But where can they find your work, Scotty?
Well, you can catch me on Twitter more than anything. I'm going to do some stuff on Twitter at the Webby20 MLB. I do have a website. It's mlb-daily.com. I had a couple guys go there the other day and start asking me questions through there, so that's good. So you can catch. I haven't done a whole lot with that website since the beginning of the season. Doesn't mean that it doesn't work and it doesn't exist and it's not there. It just means that I've been doing a bunch of other stuff. So I do run a service, and theoretically, what I do is I post plays and I post data and I post information and my own lines and numbers and things every day on a Telegram page. So if you're interested in those things, you can sign up through my website.
It's been a busy afternoon and evening. I want to thank everyone watching and listening. Had a boatload of people. You can follow me at EC Sports Invest. Obviously, follow Scott at Webby20 MLB tomorrow. 3 p.m. Dan Alexander at Newbie Talks comes back. All-Star break for Premier Lacrosse, but we'll talk first half and second half there. 4:30, myself and Riley will do the closing bell. And at 6 o'clock, Brady Cannon, PGA Talk, the Open. So we'll have some late night, early morning golf starting Thursday morning. So thank everyone here. Shady, thank you. I answered your DM, by the way. So can't wait. Get some good work done. Been looking for a good guy. And I know known you for a while now. So follow your work. So congrats. We'll be doing some talking. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one, the only, Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB. Wish everyone a blessed day. Have some fun. Cash some tickets.